What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about some Dead by Daylight news, namely the two new games that are coming to the franchise. Now, I probably have more to say about the Supermassive game than the other one, the multiplayer one, but I do want to bring in the multiplayer one because it's a four-player player versus environment game that I believe they talk about going after things like lust and greed and power, and there's some really weird, phrases or words being thrown in. Game sounds cool. Now, the talk with that game is that it's very early in development. It's only been in the works for about a year or so. So that game probably is not coming out, for another 2 or 3 years. But it definitely sounds interesting. I'm all for, well, I do like the general idea that, Dead by Daylight can keep chugging along as it is, and it's doing pretty darn well. And this is, I guess, coming from a player who used to play it basically his entire life and then kind of really stopped over the last few years. But I'm definitely for it branching out. And I don't know how this movie's going to work. No clue at all. I don't honestly know if it'll even work as a film, but hey, give it a try, I suppose. The game, again, sounds cool, but it's something that I think you just got to see, considering it's going to be still a, four-player. Obviously, Dead by Daylight is 5 players, right? I guess if you count the killer. But it should be pretty interesting and obviously sounds very, very different. But the Supermassive Games one, so that one I have a lot more, opinions of. I'm a fan, generally, of Supermassive. I think they've made some really good stuff. Obviously, Until Dawn is actually one of my favorite games of all time, one of the best horror games of all time. That team that made Until Dawn and then The Quarry, I think they're very talented. I think Supermassive, in general, is talented. The thing I'm worried about is that they just make so many games. Obviously, you got the yearly Dark Pictures game. You do have the team that made Until Dawn, that made The Quarry, that's then making their next game. So you kind of have a couple different teams going on. I think there's even more than just those two in the studio. And so they're making a Dead by Daylight interactive, I think that's what they call it, interactive horror game, right? Where you're going to be choosing your own decisions. People will live, people will die. Again, maybe it's the same thing as the movie where it's like, will that work? Like, I know there's lore. Now, I'm not like deep into the lore. I don't know any of the lore basically for Dead by Daylight. I'm sure once they read into it, and I'm sure they already have, right? I'm sure you can come up with something, a story, a plot. They're doing new characters. It's being outside of the fog. So new environment, let's say, new characters, somewhat in the lore of Dead by Daylight, and then a little bit of the Supermassive Flash, right? Again, being able to choose your own things. I think that's kind of smart. I like the idea. I definitely want to see it. That one definitely also sounds more promising because they talk about how they'll have more to show later in 2023. And I don't think the game comes out this year, but maybe if they've been working on this game, 2-3 years, maybe this is a next year kind of game. So if that's the case, if you could do a Supermassive, Dark Pictures game this year, Dark Pictures game next year, as well as a Supermassive Dead by Daylight game, that'd be pretty sweet. And so I would definitely be interested. And again, I don't know how it would work. And also, Supermassive is not a slam dunk for anything. They've made some good stuff. They've also made some pretty bad stuff. I think it's the rushing. I mean, if I got to be honest, I think it's the fact that they make these games very, very quickly, very quick turnarounds. They're not all the greatest. So hopefully, and you imagine when you work on a partnership like this, you better be giving it your all. I'm sure that they probably are, and I'm sure behavior, right, is on them and saying, okay, we really want this done well. So looking forward to, honestly, both of them. I have general interest in both. The Supermassive one maybe a little bit more, but that's also the one most likely coming out first. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.